All right, nobody knows more than us that everything, everywhere, at all times is garbage. But
Garbage.
sometimes you can have thoughts to garbage, cook up a little nasty in your brain. Anyways, a couple things I had this week. First one really came out of nowhere, something I've just been thinking about. Second one, something happening. Let's see what we think. But to start off, and I think I'm going to ask you a series of questions to start off here, if you don't mind, my good
Sure.
Nord sir.
Yeah.
I think both of us generally believe that freedom is the way to go, and if you ever take away a freedom, then you kind of have to have like a solid argument, solid reasoning. Not that you can't take away freedoms, but to take away a freedom needs to have some like reasoning. Is that generally true for you?
Yeah.
Okay. So the topic's on like what right a minor has over decisions on their body, especially as it concerns like being trans. And like at what point, because I think, to get out of the way again off the top, another thing, both of us feel that adults can be whatever they want to be, correct? However they want to identify, whatever procedures they want to do, anything like that, no problem. Do we agree on that?
Well, I would put a caveat.
Okay, go ahead, oh boy.
As far as you're not immediately, like if you're not engaging in behavior that's immediately harmful for you, like everything up until that, right? Like suicide is illegal.
Okay. Suicide is illegal? Is that what you said? Hello?
That is correct. Yeah.
Okay. What? You think suicide should be illegal? Oh no, let's not get down another rabbit hole. Let's not get down
Well, it's part of the conversation.
But no, it kind of is. I don't think so. So I guess we agreed to...
Go
ahead.
You don't think there's any reasonable limitation to adult people and their rights?
Boy,
quote unquote?
I didn't think this broadly. I might cut us off here on this broad because I want to be on the topic, but I hate doing that because you brought it up.
I'm just saying that's part of the conversation.
Look, how do you stop people from suiciding themselves? Isn't that a little ridiculous? No, to you?
Okay, but okay, so.
No, I'm not trying to got you. I'm just I don't understand what you mean by it should be like illegal. No, this is nice. I like this, but go ahead.
Let me ask you this: if somebody was standing on a bridge walking across it, would you try and stop them from jumping off?
I think that's a good way to look at it from where you're coming from right now, where I feel like you're coming from. That's fair, where it's like, no, you should say your reflex should be to save people. It should be, no doubt. But that does remove context from life. Like you don't know what's gotten to them to that point, and that's where obviously I think my side of it would more live in. But you're right in that scenario. Yeah, you should save someone as your knee-jerk reaction. That is correct. But that is still to deny the context that might be there. Go ahead, sir.
Well, you would be doing that against that person's will. That would be a denial.
Right, but you don't know that in the
moment.
Wait, I'm arguing for your side now? This is like... But you don't know that in the moment, right? Like...
I just want to put a caveat. To me, I'm fine with people doing...
Okay.
Do whatever you want up until the point where it is actively harmful to the self. Now, how you define that is complicated.
I was going to say, that's also tricky. I feel like you're saying that pretty loadedly, and that's fine. That would be its own discussion, which we almost went into, that was fascinating. You don't think places like Canada that allow you to like assisted take your life, you think that's wrong or no? How about that? Or what do you?
No, I don't think that's wrong.
Oh, okay. All right, let's move on. So basically, the
as long as you're informed.
The specific point that I wanted to think about is, every adult, of course, has the right to identify the way they want, do whatever they want, include being trans, right?
Yeah.
But at what point does a youth, a minor,
yes,
like where does that line get crossed? Now, this is not to like have a discussion of like. Nobody has an exact number. That's crazy. You know what I'm saying? It's just more just knowing that when we get to an adult stage, we have no issue with it. Where does that flip, because there's such a massive emphasis on parental rights when it comes to like hormone blockers.
Yep.
But again, what about the rights of that person themselves? I think probably both of us live in the world of, again, because where does then on the other side of that question is, where does the parental right end? Because there is some parental right early on in life, of course. Where does that end?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can say in theory we hesitate because, like, and I have to say this too, like, I've never studied how hormone blockers might affect someone. You haven't either. We're not that, we're just bullshitting here, obviously, to say.
Yeah.
But for me, I've always felt like, there is something to the evolutionarily developed process that we develop as a human being. And if you do certain things, could that harm you? That's always been a part of my brain. So,
Sure.
yeah, just in general, where do we draw the line? I feel like it's so hard for me, and I'll start it by saying something, I don't know if it's controversial. It's so hard for me to take away, you could even debate inside what I'm going to say, but it's so hard for me to take away the freedom from a minor that does have enough sense to, like, make their own decisions. Whether that's, like, who knows, but, a minor that knows enough and is actually making, like, an informed decision based on how they feel and taking in,
Yeah.
little general, but
I mean, it's tough because objectively, minors do have less rights than adults.
because
Right,
there's parental rights, right? So anytime a right,
Well, we also don't
you're
like
down
kids
a right,
drink.
someone has that right. But because you're right, like, it's a parental right. But yeah,
Well, even more than that, I'm saying we don't let kids drive. We don't let kids drink. We don't let kids, make.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
Like it is a class of people that has limited rights, but this is such a
No, it's a
tricky conversation.
Oh, it's a tough one. It is. In a way, that's why it's fun. But even as we talk about it, it's like you can't really commit to anything that other than, like, what generally I said, which still could be talked about and debated as far as when do they get their sense, how do we know they process this in a way that is mature enough to express their freedom if they want to here, It's tough. Because you could also get a different age from kid to kid. Dude, everyone's different, you know what I'm saying?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess
And
to
you
try
could-
to frame...
you could
Oh, go
make
ahead.
The argument, well, because you talked about, if it interrupts whatever their natural puberty was going to be. But you could also make an argument on the flip side that if you do interrupt that whatever that pattern of hormones is going to be and prefer, with their preference of gender, if you do that during the time you would go through puberty, maybe it's an easier transition for you. But then it's...
Right, because then it blocks you from going down what you perceive as an incorrect path. Right.
And I think we do also have to acknowledge the fact that there are real people in the world. I don't know what the percentage is, but there are definitely real people in the world who did transition and they had regrets.
That's... And that
number's
because they
not
exist,
zero.
That number's not zero,
Yeah.
but that number in context, go ahead with the context. It's extremely tiny. I do agree that you should still bring it up because I don't think anyone who would listen to something and make a decision on something should be shut out from information. I think we agree with that. But
Absolutely.
in the same vein, the context needs to be had then. It's very tiny. It's very tiny.
I actually
but
have
there are
no
some
idea
people-
what that number is, but I do believe that it's not.
It's
It's
under
not high.
1%. It's under 1%. I'd have to go look. It's under 1%.
Sure.
And wherever I got my percentage, whatever. But
Because it is a lot of the end stage transition stuff is very permanent.
But I
And
can
if
even
you're,
throw a
say,
wrench
like
in.
13 years old, I don't know, something about that just,
No doubt.
you know what I mean? Or if you're 15 years old, or if
But
you're
I can even
17
throw a
years
wrench into
old.
that. The people who regret, they still exercise freedom to choose at one point. Like, there still is. I could still throw a wrench in that and say, like, then choose to go back. Like, at some point, if we thought they were mature enough to choose this, they need to own the consequences of their decision. Not to say that they should be punished, but to say that, like, you need to let go of the if you regret your transition, you should let go of the decisions you made in the past to try to find happiness wherever it is. And we, of course, always encourage that. But to use that argument to take away freedom from people is tough for me. Do you see anything there? I guess I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I lose my mind, but
Well, I'm also not familiar with how the process currently works. Do you have to have like parental? I guess it depends on what state you're in, right?
Yeah, I would think it's state to state. Yeah, because it's not really like a federally like thing that's been put into a bunch of law and yeah, right. It's weird to say it that way, but yeah. I think that would be correct. But yeah, look. This is why it's such an interesting conversation to me, because even the most pro freedom person might think about a pretty young person wanting to transition, and you're gonna feel like, oh man, like I think it's natural to feel like, oh my gosh, like, is this the best thing to do for someone of this age? But then on the opposite end, also, there is a beauty to life where we can have our freedoms. And even if we make the wrong decisions along the way, we have to understand that, like, tomorrow's another day, I guess. It's such a stupid way to say it, but, like...
Sure.
No, it is such a, like, a rainbows and puppy way to say it, but, like, I don't know, like, we have to somehow find a positive spin on, let's own our actions, but let's try to, even if we made poor decisions in the past, continue to try to, like, make our lives better and find happiness. I don't know, you know what I'm saying? I don't know what else to say.
Absolutely.
I almost feel like I'm finding a personal responsibility thing in this, and let me tell you, I'm allergic to personal responsibility. I'm a communist, okay? But I'm tasting this in here somewhere, so I don't know. It's yeah.
I mean, and let's be honest, right? The people who are actually doing the hormone therapy or some of the more permanent transition steps, I should say, is probably somebody that, you don't, I feel like that's not a choice you make overnight. You know what I mean? I feel like when you get to that point, it's kind of been a long time coming. So
most of them have probably discussed with a lot of people in their lives what's been going on for a while, you know?
Well, it starts with just like presenting yourself differently, even
100%.
if it's not.
Yeah,
physically.
It's a little shitty to try to present in a way where it happens overnight in like a negative way to paint people negatively, I guess. And that's shitty.
Yeah,
it's not.
I have enough faith in the medical system where I know that these things aren't just happening on the. No. This is why I hate listening to Jordan Peterson about this conversation, because the way he always talks about it is
it's
like
toxic
it is
as
this
fuck, bro.
He makes it seem like it's this massive profit industry, and
it's dumb.
Purely their motivation is just money, and it doesn't care. There isn't any interest into the ethics of what they're doing, which I just don't believe that. I mean, that might be true in a handful of cases, but it feels like generally speaking, these are conversations that are taking place between an individual and their primary care physician over a series of years,
right?
And like getting to understand, how they perceive themselves as a person. I just don't think there's a lot of insincerity in that space.
Yeah, but this is what a lot of right-wing grifters do. They try to sow the conspiracy of like, you can't trust people, whether it's nurses, doctors, establishment, politicians, Democrats, this, that, the other. It sucks, but that's what they do. But yeah,
right.
I'm with you, man.
It's just,
like,
right.
You could pull
There's
one bad doctor in a fucking country
of
of hundreds of thousands of doctors. Give me a break, dude. Like, you can still trust your doctor generally. That's still generally correct. Because you can trust your fellow human who studied this and that. Like, there's just...
Right. People, these are these people's jobs. They're in this space
Right.
for a reason.
Yeah. And anybody who's out there selling you that like any part of society or this or that is just like bad and like demony and bad, they're just wrong. They're just shitty people. But anyways,
Yeah. You just have to hope that everybody's acting in good faith, right?
people generally do. That's my point.
Right.
And it's so easy for
but
like
that's not. That's
grifting
also not to say
scumbag.
there's.
No, that's not.
There's
But that's
not
why it's
bad
easy for
faith.
grifting scumbags to pick the thing and be like, "Oh, look at this." It's like, so the fuck what? It's like so dumb. I think I saw the other day,
it is
and I barely
picking-
know anything
right.
about this, but there was some weird like people online made it racial thing, like murder in Texas over some track meet. I don't fucking know. But the guy got like convicted of murder the other day. Like he's gonna go to like sometimes. My point is sometimes things happen and people get all riled up about it as if like they don't go punished, and they do. They do get punished. Like, anyways, you're not canceled, Aaron Rodgers. I swear to fucking God. All right. You're not. Anyways,
Wow.
let's move on to the next thing. That
Hey,
was a
go
tough
Steelers.
discussion, but I actually like where that went. Like
Go
those
Steelers,
are
am I
always
right?
sometimes okay. Shut the Steelers can go 0-17. We're not here. No home here.
It's funny too because a lot
Yeah.
of these conversations are very complex, but I
They
feel
are.
like time and time again we boil some of the more important concepts of a topic down to just do it in good faith. Just be a good
yeah, it's so
faith
true, dude.
actor. That's
So
all
ridiculous,
you know
man.
how much better the world would be if everybody
But what is
just
that?
acted in good
But let me do this real quick, and this will be a separate segment. What does that mean to be good faith to you? So let me start. To me, it means that, and this
question.
is why I hate the conspiracy theorists and the people who hate general groups of people. To me, it means you don't harbor hate in your heart towards just
Yeah.
anyone just because. You're there, you're ready to discuss, you're ready to listen to what they've been through and process what they're saying. Could they be an idiot? Oftentimes they can, but that doesn't mean you have to just say like, "Oh, Jews are bad. You're a shitbag, Kanye, and you're going to burn in hell," right? It just doesn't mean these groups of people, that's always my issue. Go ahead. What does good faith mean to you?
No, I agree because it does feel like good faith to me is just acting in sincerity and truly understanding somebody's perspective. Because it feels like a lot of the knee-jerk reaction to the entire trans conversation over the past like 8 years is because a lot of people, you're right, there's a little bit of hatred in their heart where to them a trans
doubt.
person is like inherently gross or they're inherently is something wrong with them. They're inherently, but a lot of the time these people have never had a conversation with somebody who was trans.
Mm-hmm.
Like there is zero understanding that somebody could be trans. Again, in good faith. I hate to use that term again, but like,
No, it's true.
there's just like they just have like I don't even
Let me
know
clarify
how to...
something too. I support
Yep.
let's say there's a person. I support
Mm-hmm.
any person's freedom to say, listen, trans, I don't agree with. Trans makes me uncomfortable. Like, that's not my jive. I think it's wrong.
Sure.
But if you don't ever, like, say that to people's face or, like, this or that, like, that's fine. That's fine. There's a difference between strong hatred in your heart that you're acting on in material ways that people can feel and when you don't. And, that's when, because they'll come out and they'll be like, oh, that fucking, that Psy, such a communist and anti-First Amendment. It's like, no. I just hate when that gets twisted. It's like, to be pro-First Amendment, you have to say, I accept that people can totally not accept trans people for what they are, not want anything to do with them, as long as they're not, like, stirring up bullshit in public about it. Like, you believe what you want, like, but we're not going to have you go out and preach to, like, some sort of level of resistance that is, like, not necessarily violent, but you know what I mean. So all of that is true. I feel like all of that, like, there's always so many things that need to be said to, like, understand a whole viewpoint. I feel like it's all anyways.
There's just always a moral panic, I feel like. There's always a moral
So
panic.
true.
And
We're
the
so tired.
trans issue is the latest moral panic. And it does feel like a lot of parents, too. A lot of the hatred that comes from parents who, you know, would consider themselves anti-trans, or at least in that space of not really sympathizing with that worldview. Their concern is that their kids are going to become trans if they're exposed to those
That's
ideas. I feel like that
so
is a big part
ridiculous.
of it.
No,
Right, because that's
true,
just
and it's not how it works.
like
That
we went
frustrates
through
me so
this
much. Yeah.
we went through the same thing with the gay stuff. It was like, oh well, if we have conversations about normalizing gay stuff, you know, all the kids are gonna. And
Dude,
it, like
isn't it?
again, the nature of that was people were worried about their kids becoming gay, but that's not how that works.
And it drives people like me and you batshit crazy that it lined up perfectly where like population is starting to slim down, and these idiots can point to be like, oh, it's because people are the gay and they're not having kids, while ignoring the fact that inequality is insane. We have a world where just
Right.
those of us who aren't the fucking 1%, like, just it's more expensive to even raise children. It's this or that. Like, I even think I wouldn't choose to do it, but I even think it's legitimate for people to say to me, I'm not having kids because of climate change. I think that's legitimate. Now, I had kids, but like, I'm not going to poo-poo someone for saying that. It's like, sure. Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, I can't
So-
blame somebody's level of cynicism there. Absolutely
No,
not.
and I love me some cynicism. So. All right, anyways, be good faith, people.
Just be good faith. We should have a broader conversation about what good faith is, though, honestly, because that's
Yeah, but in what terms? I would love to hear what you think, and I think on a deeper level, sure. But sometimes I think to myself, if more people could get on the same page with that and like feel that out, we could be better. But like, we're not going to be better. I hate to. Oh, here comes the cynicism, but it's just.
well, it's one of those things too, where like no matter who you're talking to, everybody thinks they themselves are acting in good faith, even if they're not.
I think that's more
I feel
true than
most
I'd like
people
it
are
to
like-
be.
Yeah.
Actually, I think that's true in person, not online. But I think that's true in person. Yes, that's correct.
All right. Well, we can
I tell
move
my
past
wife all
it.
the time, and my husband, we're Mormons. Churches brought value to communities, not in the way that we believe that there was a ghost in the sky, but in the way that it brought the community together. And like, you know, dude, me and my husband, my wife doesn't like to. We watch local news, you know. And you'll see, like, churches do a ton of good things. It's like, oh, like, there's a food drive here, food drive that, doing this and that. So churches are good in that way. Communities coming together in person, in reality, is good. And we've talked for years how we've been missing out on that in modern age. And I'm not going to say that it's going to keep getting worse and it's going to, like, descend into madness. I don't think so. But we could be a lot better with it, which is, you know, it is what it is. So anyways, join Church of You. All right. Next thing.
God bless.
God bless. Zohran won.
This next
I don't
one's-
even know if I'm
I'm gonna
saying it
look-
right. This guy in New York City who is a DSA, which, listen, legitimately, anytime anybody associated with DSA wins, it is a deal. It is. But I more want to, like,
Socialists of
everyone freaks
America?
out about what that means. Yeah, Democratic Socialists of America. That is correct.
Okay.
Everybody freaks out with what that means and goes all crazy. But I wanted to hear what you thought. And also, you know, Trump won in 2024 on anti-establishment vibes, which he also won in 2016 on that, which I think both of us agree with that. But it's an absolute dirtball, right? Just an absolute trash bag person for the moment, for the
Shitbag.
anti-establishment
Yep.
movement. But
Yep.
does that mean there's going to be an anti-establishment leftward move now? I don't think so. I actually think, and this might be oh boy, Cine Psy. We'll get that out. This might be Cine Psy coming out, but we go through these cycles. We've got a dirtball president. We've got dirtballs in charge everywhere. You've got an energized left who is voting more now. But once the left gets in power, you get an energized right. You know what I'm saying? It's still, do you feel like we're out of the pendulum era? Because that's what I feel like we're in, and I don't think so. What do you think?
It's either gonna get way better or way worse. Which is a terrible answer.
So you do
but...
think we're out of the pendulum era where it's just kind of just like not much is going to happen, the pendulum goes back and forth? Because if it gets way better or worse...
Well, the left has a choice to make right now, and with Mamdani winning, it's obviously leaning progressive in New York City. I don't know where the rest of the Democratic Party is going to go, though. But they deserve to be torn down. I mean, you lost to Donald Trump in 2024.
But they deserve to be torn down in the sense that you're still going to have a left in this country, right? Right?
Let's just you need new leadership. So,
because I felt like where you were going to go is they have a choice here of enacting actual policy that helps regular working people or not. And I agree with that. So I guess what I'm saying is, and I'm trying not to be cynical about Mamdani. Seems like a really nice guy. He's got a really nice beard. All right. Nice beard. He wants to be my second husband. He'll let me know. But I just feel like, and it could be that this happens easily, but I just feel like every time people get in these positions, they can't enact sweeping policy that does actually help people fast enough because there's block here, block there, block everywhere. And it just... And the sun goes down and comes up the same as it always does. And I think this is why I get really cynical when I read articles about progressives, maybe not liberals, but more progressives cheering the courts blocking Trump, because it's like they're going to do progressive things and they're going to block them. And so when you think of all that, going back to what I started here, that means you can't, in the eyes of the layman who's voting, who let's say doesn't even know that you try to enact things get blocked and it's not helping them, they don't feel it. And now you lost again. And the pendulum swings back and forth. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Yes. I do think... But here's my thing is, when you actually elect progressives like Mamdani, and not neolibs, not corporatist Democrats...
That's a
been
breath
there
of fresh
for
air in
decades.
itself. True.
Not only is it a breath of fresh air, you do have a way better chance of getting stuff done. Because look at what Trump's doing right now. If you had the right person in there, you can steamroll a little bit. Joe Biden did not do that. Now, I will give credit where credit is due. He did a lot more than Obama did during Obama's 8 years. But neither of these guys decided to throw elbows. Like, Obama came in with universal health care, and we ended up with Obamacare,
dude, and which
is just private insurance with extra steps.
I'm gonna talk on my butt, but he had, I believe, enough votes in the House and the Senate to just pass Medicare for all, but decided to. Yep. I remember this roundtable where Mitch McConnell was like bitching, and he was just like, "Who won the election?" But he didn't steamroll him. He let him in.
No, he didn't. Yeah. Which this is an example of, because he was like, well, let's reach across the aisle. Let's do this bipartisanly. But I think Obama didn't realize the monster that was brewing on the right there. And that was the Tea Party movement, which exploded into Donald Trump. And you can't act in good faith with people who won't act in good faith in return. So he should have thrown elbows.
That's what I was going to say.
He should have steamrolled. And it's what Trump's doing. Trump's not acting in good faith because he has an agenda and he wants to get things done.
Yeah, and I think both of us would agree that if we were in positions of power, if we felt like we could unify the country in a very good way, healing way, for the unity of the country, by working across the aisle with people who came in good faith, we would do it. But if my choice is work across the aisle with people who are the worst faith you've ever seen that I'd wipe toilet paper with, or just, you know what, let's steamroll policy that people will actually see helps them, I'm going to take the steamroll policy at that point. I'm going to.
Because when you can materially do some positive, and the only way you're going to really materially affect people's day-to-day life like that is to steamroll a little bit. Because the slow burn of the CHIPS Act means that you lose in 24. But the CHIPS Act is objectively good for the average American consumer.
It is. That is correct. That is correct.
But
I don't watch Obama interviews a lot, but I would love to hear someone press him on that exact thing.
Hey, I agree.
Let me paint this for you, Obama. Knowing that they would come in bad faith, would you have steamrolled? And it's like, if he does answer he would, which he should, you would say, like, why didn't you see it then? Now, look, no hate. Man's not a bad person at all. But, man, like, what the fuck? How did you not see that
Yeah.
shit? Anyways, the turtle captivated him. We hate to see it.
Mitch the
I do
turtle.
think just even chatting here makes me feel a little more hopeful because one thing you pointed out is ringing more to me after talking with you. It's, hey, look, he at least ran on those policies. He's not some Eric Adams weirdo. Because dude, even Eric Adams running the first time as a Democrat, I don't know how he won the primary in 21.
Yeah, neither do I.
He's like he's just like a cop. Which, like, I'm not saying that cops are bad, but he just was not right for the moment at all. Like, what the fuck? Wasn't really offering anything progressive.
Yeah.
Actually, Mamdani said something that I looked up. The mayor controls some board that determines rent control percentage in the city. And ever since Eric Adams has been in, it's been like the maximum percent it can go up, you know. So I don't understand how Eric Adams ever got... But the good difference is someone ran on policy that's out in the open that you agree with, but and if they don't deliver on it, then you can at least point to it. But it's very different, which is good.
Well, the problem's much bigger than just the mayorship of New York City.
No doubt, and that's why people kind of project it. But yeah, true.
So I'm just hoping we can see the same vibes, because I've said it before, and I'll say it till the day I die. If we had Bernie Sanders in 2016 adopt the aggressiveness of Trump in 2016, he wins that election. Bar none. But he was too nice.
Yeah.
He was too nice.
I think
he didn't call people for what they were. He didn't fucking point at Hillary Clinton and call out her bullshit. You know what I mean?
Look.
He just played patty cake.
We've got to rehash this more.
He was like, we're all friends up here.
I feel like we've got to rehash this more and more, because there were some times he kind of did.
A little bit.
Before the primary was over, at least. There definitely was sometimes he did. And why didn't he resonate more? I don't know.
He just wasn't as brutish as Trump was. And also Trump,
yeah, he just should have been more brutish.
Dominated.
I'm with you. Even the light brutish he did, it's not enough. He should have just I'm with you. He should have gone scorched earth.
And I do think...
Because in that instance, Hillary Clinton was bad faith, you know what I'm saying, in that race. So fuck her. You just kind of scorched it. Go
Absolutely.
ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, man, that was all the superdelegate bullshit and, like, MSNBC, certain networks not giving airtime at all to Bernie. Like, there was a collaborative effort there
but
to
listen,
stifle him.
you know me. I never blame... Broadcast, get to broadcast what they want. What are you going to do, bitch about it? I don't care about that.
Yeah, but
I don't care
when you're making deals in the fucking shadows about who gets what airtime, to me that feels like bullshit. That's bad faith. That's bad faith media.
No doubt. I admit that it's bad faith media, but I also live in a world where media is freedom, and you've got bullshit who gives whatever, dog. Like they need to all be better then. I don't know.
Cyril loves his consent being manufactured. That's what he just admitted.
No, what I'm saying is we should give broadcast freedom to broadcast what they want. You don't agree with that? If you're going to play games,
I think we should have journalistic standards to some degree that
what
are
does that
bigger
mean
than
then?
just
So then
network.
are you saying that in the journalism space we should take freedoms away because we benefit from that? Then say that.
How about equal airtime for candidates?
Yeah, but
Can you sympathize with that?
Of course I do. In principle, I do. But what does that actually look like in real? Because there's so many right-wing channels, so many left. What does that actually look like in reality? What if you put on Trump and he gets 8 million and he's against Bernie and he gets 500,000 on the same network, different nights? What are you supposed to do? Keep giving Bernie space to get to that? It gets a little tricky, doesn't it?
Yeah, I do think you should. Because
okay, what if it's the same 500,000 every time? Anyways, all right, I hear you.
It's like, wow, they got money to make. I grind at the idea that we fucking have a
in principle, I agree
political
with
media
you.
landscape like that anyway.
In principle, I agree with you. I think where it all goes
gross.
to shit, and what it's really gross is
it's
people
what
like Trump.
Donald
People
Trump.
like Trump drive the entertainment factor, and Bernie doesn't, and so that's just what's going to get attention.
Right.
And I can sympathize with the idea that media should have their freedoms, and they should, by the way. You absolute communist, you. But I also get the other side of it, which is You shouldn't just put people on because they get ratings and whatever the fuck, because this is what makes us all communists. There's outside factors to the market, right? That should be considered. Like,
I just
if
feel
someone's
like
gonna fuck the working class over, we should not. Anyways, go ahead. Yeah.
I just feel like we've made engaging in politics in this country like engaging in team sports, and I don't think that's healthy.
This is why, but Trump's a symptom of that. It's been the case, but yeah, of course.
Of course he is, but he is like the manifestation of the end product of whatever we consume our political media in this country is. Because he was wall to wall in 2016. All the networks could not leave him alone because they just thought it was hilarious, and then he fucking won.
You're right, but the real interesting question is that I don't think either one of us had an answer is, what do you do then? Like, if he's a symptom of a cause, like, what do you do? You're not gonna like somehow make Bernie Sanders as entertaining and as far-reaching as a Donald Trump. You're not. So what do you do? What do you actually do? I don't know.
The election season is 6 weeks long. You can't election outside of 6 weeks.
You're going to tell media companies they can't talk about it outside those 6 weeks?
No, they can. People can't.
So then we have more than a 6-week election season, right? Because if you're going to bitch about the media companies and their narratives, they're going to have their narratives for as long as they want. Yes?
Because if you're not... Yeah, for sure. But Donald Trump never stopped campaigning. From 2015 to, like, 2023, that man was doing a rally a week.
Exactly, because the media laps it up. They have a symbiotic relationship. Everyone knows that because Trump's back.
So
in
if
charge,
I say if you want to electioneer, I'm saying if you want to electioneer, if you want to run a campaign, you have 6 weeks prior to the election to do it. Outside of that, you can't campaign.
This is where I agree with you. We should have much shorter election windows. Primaries should be closer to generals. We should have ranked choice voting. It should be as simple as possible. And if you make it as simple as possible, you can condense the time down. Make it much more simple. Holidays on any voting days. You know what I'm saying?
True.
Bam.
Preach.
We agree. And I think if you do that, then you can even shrink down that media presence because nobody's going to give a fuck until things are known. It's not going to feel more explosive until things are known. So doing that, I agree with. But still, even still, you're going to have speculation outside of that window by the media because we've built this internet age bullshit, and it is what it is.
Yes.
Right.
I agree. But I do think that helps. I'm not saying that makes it better. It makes a better system, not a perfect system.
Give me a fucking primary 6 weeks before on a ranked choice voting.
Yeah.
And then the top two go to the general election, and fucking who wins. Or, sorry. Fuck me. I sound British almost. Give me a ranked choice voting one time. That's it. And then you just count bullshit till someone gets 50%.
Oh, you can't do that.
Why can't you do that?
Because the second you put 40 names on a ballot, people are done. They're not going to...
All right, you're right.
You have to work with the voter.
Because I agree with allowing the maximum amount that can be possible that first time. You're right. There's got to be a primary. And the primary is going to have a big-ass ballot. It should in a healthy democracy.
It should and it shouldn't. I mean, I feel like you should limit it somewhat. Because I'm telling you, people... The second... Listen...
You seen these British elections where someone's in a costume on the stage? Come on now.
This is a criticism of the general voter. But when you start making a ballot longer and complicated, they tend to just like... They'll vote a little bit and then they'll just whatever submit the rest of the ballot. You know what I mean? Like there's less engagement.
I want to fucking reject you outright, but I do feel
you can't have too many choices.
No, I do feel and take your point. There's got to be a little happy medium there, but like but listen. If you had like a solid regulated vetted, but we could get there, top 10.
You have to have a.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Nice a 10 primary, and then you kick it to a 2 for the general, and you figure it out. And I do like the primary general too. Can't just go just a straight one election general would be madhouse. It would. It'd be such a madhouse, yeah. But I do like that slimming because then it gives everyone else who didn't take larger choices a chance to at least affect the decision.
Yes.
Like, okay, well, if I feel strong enough that, like, as always, right-wing smooth brains are out here like fucktards. I'll take the corporate Democrat, which is me, not everyone. And you can do that, you know. But
And I'm not sure how we got down this rabbit hole. And we can go back to more like the leftist,
now keep
populist
going.
push.
Fuck it. What do you got?
But real quick, I want to say, because I do consume some breaking points occasionally.
Oh, I like breaking. Well, I don't want to say I like breaking points. I consume breaking points as well. Go ahead.
I like breaking points. Not always, but I like
do.
breaking points.
Sure. Yeah.
But Sagar on there, every time ranked choice voting comes up, he just shits on it. And I haven't heard his rationale yet. But in my mind, I'm like, what problem could you have with ranked choice voting?
Yeah, we'd have to hear it. We'd have to hear it and bullshit about
and
it with him.
Let me ask you this. Do you think the average person thinks ranked choice voting should be the default? Or do you think there's like a partisan line?
I think the average voter, because if we're talking about the average voter, they don't think too far. I think the average voter is frustrated with the way the voting process is now. So I think ranked choice voting could be a good sell. But
yeah, I agree. But I'm saying, is that bipartisan, do you think? You know what I mean?
That sentiment? Yes. That sentiment is bipartisan.
Yes.
Is the sentiment bipartisan that the voting system sucks? Yes, of course it is.
No.
Oh.
That ranked choice voting is a better option. Do you think that's bipartisan?
Yes, because people hate the system we have so much that
Sure.
more there could be more. I'm not thinking of any, but there could be more options that also make sense. But yes, ranked choice voting would be one of them. So I'm with you, man. I didn't know he shits on it.
I'm just curious.
I guess I
He
don't watch.
does every time it comes up, and I'm like, man. I even looked up, like, I tried to find certain videos where maybe he fleshes it out a little bit more, but I haven't seen it yet. Like, what fucking problem could you have with ranked choice voting? How is that just not, in general, a healthier system?
And just like we did in this
Crazy
conversation.
to me.
Well, first of all, again, I agree with you. I don't know what problem you have with it. And even if you did have a problem with it, just like in this conversation, we fleshed out some things. Because I went full batshit on the one general that you cannot do that. The more I think about it, wow, I did not think about that. Think through that. So even still, even if you have issues with it or this or that, you could talk through. You can still readily acknowledge that ranking system gives a more than just a bi-party vibe, which everyone wants. Everyone wants more than a bi-party vibe, right?
Yes, I agree.
So
well, all the more reason
because I like when I have people who I don't agree with who are on opposite sides of the opinion spectrum who I also respect. And I think Sagar does things in good faith generally. So I appreciate that, right?
I'd agree with
so.
that.
I think he literally started a show with a left-wing person, the lady, you know what I'm saying? So I do have some, but that one, boy, you wish you could have a beer over that with him because there's nothing there.
Well,
I can't think of anything.
I'm all the more curious because to me, I can't imagine why you would disagree with ranked choice voting. But he must.
The
have
only
some
thing I
reason.
can think of is it maybe like the voter is stupid, which is a tired argument I keep slapping away from people in my life about. But the voter is dumb. Yeah.
It increases your pool of candidates, right? Like diversity in your pool of candidates just has to be better. Right, because everyone. This is what pisses me off is like nobody engages with primaries. Hardly. I think it's probably a good election is like 20% of your eligible voters will show up in a primary, which is awful. Unless it's a presidential primary, that tends to be a lot different. But like generally speaking, primaries are terrible. Then that person who's of whatever party gets to election day, they didn't vote in their primary, and they hate the candidate that's on their ticket, and it's like now everybody just. Even if you're a Republican or a Democrat, there's a good chance you don't really like the person that's on your ticket, but you have to vote for them. So you're right. I'm like, to me, like if you had a wider pool and gave people more flexibility in figuring out who gets to that election or even election day, like why would that not just be a good thing? I don't know. Crazy man. Can't get it. I don't understand it.
It's also cool to think about with someone who you know that like does approach in good faith. I feel like I get a little more excited about an answer from that kind of a person because you're just
I agree.
You're like
I agree.
Anyways,
yeah, should we hit up Trump's True Social?
Sure. Only one thing because this aggravates me to no end.
Sure.
First, let's check Trump's coin. Let's see how much it's worth. $9. Dirtbag. Right, over there.
What was the point of that? is that high for where it's been, or is that low? What is that?
For all cost-cutting Republicans, of which I am one, remember, you still have to get reelected. Don't go too crazy. We will make it all up times 10 with growth more than ever before. So, by the way, and this isn't, he always says something in a very regarded way, but it lives inside of some, he says it so highly regarded, but it lives in some sort of truth where it's, okay, like, it's the age-old, like, more debt, as long as you grow the GDP and you're not growing debt too crazy, should be okay. That was like the last 10, 20, 30 years economic thought. The problem is you literally cut taxes in 2017 and there was no like extra material growth from that. So the problem is you're still going on this like nice, easy growth pattern, 2 to 4% every year, whatever year. Okay. But if you continue to make the debt problem worse by cutting taxes over and over and over again, down more, like that math doesn't math. And so like there's not going to be some all of a sudden this time the tax cuts, not like the last 10 times, but this time is the one time when we said it's going to spur weird growth, it's going to happen. It's not going to happen. That's not to say there's not going to be growth. There's always 2 to 4% growth, but people fearmonger about Democrats and then like jack off to Republicans as if it changes from that 2 to 4. It doesn't. It never does. So if you just do things that add to the deficit, that's bad.
Yeah, that's really
and
bad.
Like Democrats get the bad rap over X amount of years or just maybe as a feel in the country because they spend, and Democrats get the bad rap of people thinking they add to the deficit. No, Republicans do more so because of their tax cuts. That's a fact. It's a fucking fact, bro. It's crazy. You can go back no matter how you do the math because Trump was first part of COVID and Biden was second. So if you even want to take away the COVID payments, one was under Trump, one was under Biden, wash it out. Republicans with their tax cuts add more to the deficit, period, end of story. The wars didn't help with Bush, too. Than Democrats ever do spending more. It's so dumb, man. So dumb, but he gets to truth this shit and people lap it up. Anyways.
It's so funny to me too, right? Because this is the great negotiator. This is his business acumen, is to apply pressure via his truths on Truth Social. Right? Like, never mind going down to the Capitol and actually being somebody that manages the minefield of getting a bill passed. He's just sitting on his couch, just truthing.
I know.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
It's such cope when people are like, "Oh, he's a master." It's such cope.
He's a master negotiator.
You can like Trump and actually tell me the truth. That's fine. But to be like, "I love Trump and he's a master negotiator," you're a fucking come on. That's cope.
You're not.
Right, anyways, great news. Senator Tom Tillis will not be. So did the bill pass today? Because I've seen a couple different things where I did it like where it said it did pass.
I think it made it out of some procedural thing, which basically means that if they have the votes, it's going to go through the Senate at some point.
And Tillis announced early on that I guess, and I read this today. Tell me if this is wrong. I don't know how much you read today. Who gives a shit? I spent time with my family today. Thank the Lord. I read something.
Oh, you're cutting out a little bit there.
Oh, am I? Hello?
A little bit.
Hello?
You're good.
Okay.
Hello. So you read
did
somewhere
we really
today,
get
what?
one weekend of he announces he's not going to vote for this bill and Trump just is like retire and then he says he's gonna? We did. Tom Tillis will not seek re-election next year after Trump attacks. Oh my goodness. So did BBB pass Senate? Let's see. Yeah, narrowly wins first test in Senate. Oh, first test.
Yeah. It's like procedural stuff. But I guess the idea is the idea is if it makes it out to a vote, it should pass. So if it's passing this,
but here's the thing: it has to go back to the House and
to the House, correct?
Whatever this parliamentarian person is, cut a lot of stuff out. So the House passed it by one vote last time itself. Like it's gonna be. Now, look, Republicans always fall in line. That's like their benefit of being a Republican. It's ridiculous. It's gross. It's so gross. They do it every time. They all bitch and bitch and bitch, and then they all fall in line every time. But yeah, maybe it'll be tough. Because, like, look, Someone out there, nobody out there listening to this, but someone out there listening to this, maybe Jesus. It's like, oh, Cyril doesn't like this bill, doesn't even know. Oh, God damn it, I gotta cut that. Whatever. Cy doesn't like this bill, doesn't even know what's in it. I do know that Medicaid is getting cut in such a way that children will lose health care. Justify that to me. You can say like, oh, we should cut in certain ways where the kids keep it. All right, let's talk about it. How does that look? But that's not what this is. Children are going to lose health care. Justify that to me. That's tough. That's tough. All right, that's enough. Any other thoughts?
There is one more.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Just scrolling down a bit. He pardoned Michael Flynn, which I don't really understand that. But Michael Flynn is fucking cuckoos for Cocoa Puffs. Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs? That's what I meant to say.
This is like the second time he's done this. I'm pretty sure.
What is he pardoning though? For what? Is he still?
He pardoned him last time
left
for.
and right?
I think last time he lied to Congress on behalf of Trump, like way back in the day.
Okay.
And now I have no idea what it is now, man. But.
So are you gonna buy his book, Pardon of Innocence: An Inspiring Story of Faith and Freedom by Lieutenant General Michael T. Flynn?
I'm going
US
to
Army retired.
leave the 0 listeners that will be here for this part on this.
Yeah.
Michael Flynn's going to burn in hell. I can tell you that for a fact. Oh, easily.
Wow.
Easily. If fire laps at the ass cheeks in the afterlife, the ass cheeks of Michael Flynn will be very hot. Very hot.
This is a soldier of God fighting on the front lines. This is a battle between good and evil, Cyril. And he is...
I am a soldier.
My hero.
In service of God on the battle of good and evil. I see him on the side of evil. I see him literally on the side of evil. So
I don't know who to believe.
Someone explain that to me. I'm on that same battlefield. These crazy people that make up things in their mind, I'm on the same field as them. You think about what that means for me. Anyways, I see him on the evil side. So
I'm going to buy you this memoir for your birthday.
I can't.
You know
I'm
what we're
speaking
gonna do?
to God right now. I can't in good conscience read from Satan. I can't do that. He's telling me don't do that.
What we should do is launch a book club and just read grifter bullshit. That would be incredible.
There's another book. So this is book number 1. Keep this in mind. Write this down. We're gonna launch this book club.
Well, there's
another
a whole
book.
cottage
Tim
industry.
Kennedy. There's a lot for like stolen valor. Tim Kennedy, I guess there's like some fucking scars and stripes. I saw this. I don't. Don't ask me how I fell down this rabbit hole. I can't remember how I did the other day. But I think he's been on Rogan and like, being a vet myself, I have certain trustworthy sources when people like call people out. And I saw something the other day about this guy. It's like, oh, he's in the Rogan sphere. He at least had been, and he just like bullshitted. So, yeah, we can read grifter books all day long if you want.
Dude, that would be hilarious. Grifter book club. Now that's a lot more involved, but...
Yeah. You know what we should do? And listen, how do you make money in this life? You scam.
Tell me.
Let's write a book together.
Well, we have to do something of notoriety first. Nobody's going to buy our shit.
I was a U.S. Army Ranger. In Afghanistan. Boom. That's actually the truth. Bam, you got a book. You just make the rest up. But yeah.
So I bought. Do you remember the fucking real women vote for Trump? Do you remember that one?
I do not.
Real women vote for Trump.
Oh no, I do.
Come on, you gotta remember this.
Yeah.
They had a book.
Oh boy.
That I purchased because I thought it was going to be hilarious. Oh my god, hang on. It's on my bookshelf. I'm trying to Google it right now.
Was it not hilarious? Was it a disappointment? Is that what you're going to say? It feels like...
No, it was hilarious. I mean, it was just a lot. Yes. It was basically there was a lot going on in there. Fuck, what is it?
I wonder if the Iowa vote for Donald Trump wrote a book. You know, good book too. Everybody saw that her husband got deported the other day, which is, kind of.
Oh, here it is. We found it.
Just like sweet justice.
This isn't.
But
Did they make more than one book? I'm gonna be fucking upset if they made more than one book.
Real women vote for Trump book.
The deplorable choir, that's who they are, yeah. Is it this one? Hang on, let me see if I can find it on my bookshelf.
Vote for Trump notebook. Trump notebook and journal. Funny Donald Trump supporter gag gift 6x9 110 page for. Oh, sorry, that's not what I'm looking for. The feminist who voted for Trump. Is it possible to identify as a feminist and vote for Donald Trump? I think this is someone's research paper. Politics with a minor in international relations. What is this? Oh my God. The election of Donald Trump has been widely seen as a failure for feminism. What is this? A man who was openly misogynistic, bragged about sexually assaulting women, and made inappropriate sexual comments about his daughter was elected to the... When was this written?
I do have it.
2016. Find this person. This person's coping so hard in this day and age.
Wait, what's happening?
Find the person who wrote this paper. Oh, okay, that's enough.
Wait, what is this
Flora
paper? What
Jacobs.
is this?
Someone wrote a paper in 2016 just being like, Trump sucks, feminism failed, but now it's 2025 and I wonder how they feel. All right, anyways.
I am holding my copy of the deplorable choir book.
All right, you send that to me. We'll see what we can get out of it. You know.
Anyways, that would be hilarious.
Pardon of innocence.
Grifter
The strong story of Michael Flynn.
Jesus.
Michael Flynn. My story of how I served 30 years in the Army, climbing the ranks with valor, just to toss it all in the fucking garbage bin for an orange scumbag. Okay. Great job, buddy. Anyway, sorry.
Well, where we go one, we go all, sir.
Got it.